A very sad thing happened not too long ago. A new Star Wars project was announced. For about 5 years now, that's all that's been required for the sadness, but this time it actually wasn't the sad part. No, the sad part was it was the best announcement the franchise has had in years. It's a project starring Ryan Gosling, who has a really good track record of choosing good movies, and directed by Sean Levy. If you don't recognize the name Sean Levy, you probably at least like something that he's made. He directed Big Fat Liar, which is nothing amazing, but it was solidly entertaining for what it was. He made Cheaper by the Dozen, which I still like. As the oldest of 5 kids, it felt very realistic. He made Night at the Museum, which was perfectly fine, and you may say it wasn't that good, but my gosh, I long for the days of perfectly fine now. He directed Date Night with Steve Carell and Tina Fey, which is a criminally underrated movie that you should all watch. He directed an episode of Kimmy Schmidt. He directed Free Guy, Adam Project, 8 episodes of Stranger Things, and Deadpool and Wolverine. And if you look at his producer credits, he is a solid picker of hits and has been for decades. This combo of Gosling and Levy is the best announcement Star Wars has had in years. The sad part is that no one cared. It may surprise you to know this, but I love Star Wars. I know. It's odd for someone who was 11 in 1999 to love Star Wars, but I do. And I remember the days of the prequels. Even after we'd realized they weren't really that good, we would still check internet forums to hear rumors about the next installment. The announcement of a new Star Wars game used to be on par with the announcement of a new game system. If Facebook or Twitter had been a thing yet, people would have been posting countdowns to the release of Knights of the Old Republic. Star Wars was a big deal. Now no one cares, and that's kind of heartbreaking. One of the great blunders in business history was the Mars Candy Company saying no to letting E.T. eat M&Ms. It's actually discussed in marketing classes as just a horrible decision. Lucasfilm is going to be studied the same way in the not-too-distant future. How? How do you take the largest property in pop culture history, the property that made pop culture a valuable commodity in the first place, and make it next to worthless? It is one of the most incompetent series of business decisions in world history. And as an old school Star Wars fan, it makes me sad. Star Wars was important to me. It captured my imagination. It came into my life because my parents read the weekly TV guide in the newspaper and saw that in December 1994, that TNT, do you see how thoroughly this is burned into my brain, was going to show the Star Wars trilogy one night at a time. They decided that I was old enough to see it now. Friday night, I saw A New Hope. Saturday, I saw Empire. Sunday morning, I went to Sunday school and told all of my friends that I had seen the coolest thing that I had ever seen in my life. One of them had already seen it, and the rest were sold based solely on my description. Those movies affected how I thought about storytelling and imagination, and transformed what kind of movies and books I wanted to consume. Until December 17th, 2003, it was the greatest trilogy of all time. Star Wars was incredible and incredibly important to me, and now I don't care. I think the question that a lot of us have is, even if that witch Kathleen Kennedy is disposed of, can whoever takes over make us care again? Is it even possible at this point? Well, were that person me, my first public announcement would have a couple of things that I think would be a good list of starters. Hello, thank you all for tuning in. I'd like to start off by thanking Lucasfilm for giving me the opportunity to steer the direction of this incredible franchise, and I have a few announcements I'd like to make about the direction of this company and what you can look forward to in the future under my tenure. Item 1, we are remastering the original theatrical cuts of the Star Wars trilogy, and they will be available to view by the end of the year for the first time since the 80s. Han shot first, and from now on, that won't have to be explained to small children. Item 2, every single extended universe story will be published again. This is the most bafflingly stupid decision that my predecessor made. I know that in corporate America, you're not supposed to talk directly bad about your predecessor, but in this case, it's necessary for restoring consumer confidence. There are Star Wars novels that were not only popular when Disney bought the property, they're popular now. They were and are already written. Thousands were published and purchased every year, and someone decided, let's stop publishing all of these pre-written stories and pay new writers to write new ones that no one wants and won't be available for 3 or 4 years. AKA, what if we stopped printing money? Well, I've decided to start printing money again, and I expect that to help our dwindling cash flow. Also, the incomplete series that were abruptly canceled when that stupid decision was made will be continued by their original writers. Item 3, We're restarting production of 1313. If you don't know, look it up. I made the heart of every nerd near someone watching this video skip just now, whether they were watching it or not. We were all so stoked for that game, and it was just taken away for no reason that we could discern in any other projects LucasArts had in the can at time of shutdown. Item 4. All but one of our impending projects will have nothing to do with the Empire or the Clone Wars. We're going to set things in the Old Republic 100 years before Yoda was even born. We're going to tell stories in the Mandalorian Wars, the New Republic, the High Republic, the Sith Wars. Maybe we'll even go back and try to tell stories about the First Jedi. We may even try to tell smaller comedy stories set in the enormous Star Wars universe to let writers and directors play in our sandbox and get people excited about this universe again. Item 5. Everyone involved in Step 4 will be subject to our newly formed Canon Council. This will ensure all future projects correctly follow the lore that we all fell in love with and passionately followed. 6. Nothing that happened in the past decade is canon anymore. That includes Rogue One. It is not even becoming legend. It is dead. Wiped from history. Rebels and Clone Wars might be safe. We'll evaluate. As a result, the EU Legends are canon once again. Item 7. Galaxy's Edge will soon be closed for repairs, aka made into something anyone, anywhere gives a crap about. Item 8. That one project set in the most well-known era. In order to prove that we know what we're doing and can be trusted, we are about to begin pre-production on a new project. Remaking the Skywalker saga as a multi-season series retelling that saga in more detail. This is being done for 2 reasons. 1, proving to you that we love and respect this series. And 2, fixing some issues in them. Not updating for modern audiences or any of that crap. There are just some inconsistencies in the story because of things unplanned when production began on A New Hope. For example, Darth Vader is very much subservient to Tarkin because Lucas had not decided to make him the Emperor's right-hand man yet. But doing this series will also give us the opportunity to fill in gaps and details about the series, in some cases by dramatizing pre-existing media. For example, the beginning of the first episode will be Kyle Katarn, you're dadgum right, Kyle Katarn, stealing the Death Star plans. The idea to do this first came to me while watching Rogue One, and I thought, what if the hallway scene was the first time you saw Darth Vader? And, returning to the inconsistencies that I mentioned earlier, what if he continued at that power level throughout the rest of the series? Once the plans are taken, we'll follow the narrative of the movies, but the Battle of Yavin is actually only going to be episode 4 or 5 of season 1. We'll be able to go into things that happen in between the movies, dive into the characters more, see what the rebels were up to while Leia was trapped on the Death Star. But we'll also intercut back into the build-up and action of the Clone Wars to show Anakin's fall, which will give us a new shot at the prequels. We can do stuff like spend time on Alderaan before it's destroyed to give it just a little bit more emotional weight. Furthermore, we'll be able to give more development to the characters, side characters and main characters as well. We can let Luke train for more than a week and develop Leia a little more. I hear you. Don't let that sentence scare you. There are just some absences for her, especially in Return of the Jedi. We see her react to learning that Luke is her brother, but in that same conversation, she learned that Vader is her father as well, and we don't see her process that information. Also, Vader finds out he has a daughter that he didn't know about, and that doesn't seem to affect him at all. Speaking as someone that has a daughter and is not ruled by his emotions like Sith are, that would garner some reaction. These are our plans to rebuild trust with you, the Star Wars fans. We'll take some time off before starting these projects to make sure the scripts are right, and we hope you can find it in your hearts to forgive the brand and give it another shot. Thank you. Then we cut to footage of us pouring salt into the carpet of Kennedy's office. That would be my pitch, at least. Do you think it'd be effective? You'll see me next time if you subscribe. Bye.